one thing I can say for this channel is that I do not have enough Osamu Tezuka reviews, so I am here today repenting for that sin by giving you my review of Apollo's Song, which was written in 1970. Now, Apollo's Song, I believe, was originally published in one volume, but I have the 2 volumes of it, which are very nice, published by Vertical, as most of Tezuka's work is. So, what is Apollo's Song and what is it about? Apollo's Song is about a boy called Shogo Chikaishi. Now, Shogo Chikaishi has an absolute hatred of love and everything to do with love, to animals, basically, being, sort of lovey and do it, towards each other, any sort of, affection, that kind of thing, he absolutely abhors. He hates all acts of love. So because of this, Shogo has been subjected to psychiatric examination, and that's where the story begins, because he's got a violent tendency to, stop all acts of love as and when he sees them. He'll go around killing animals, that are coupled up together, because the idea of 2 animals being in love and together he finds disgusting. Now, there's a reason for this. He's not just like this, he wasn't born like this. He has got a very sad history. See, at first Shogo is made out to be a very hateable character. Like, I really didn't like Shogo. Seeing, panel after panel him, strangling strangling chickens and, crushing birds and, just all these despicable things that, you would never imagine a human to do. But, he's a sick man. He's sick in the head, he's got a mental illness, and that's why he's being subjected to a psychiatric evaluation. He was actually arrested when he was caught strangling a hen, and that's why he's in the position that he's in. But further and further you get on in the story, I ended up sympathising with him because of how he came to be. He's got a deep-rooted hatred of his mother. Basically, his mother, she was overly promiscuous, I guess you could say. Shogo was basically an accident. He wasn't a planned baby. Basically, his mother went around having affairs with married men and accidentally got pregnant. And because of that, she always hated Shogo for that, for the fact that he ruined her life, because he came into being, which isn't, he can't fault himself for being born, but his mother hates Shogo and basically abused him as a child, had men coming in and out of the house, sleeping with her every day, being angry with Shogo just for being a child, and basically just treating him like crap. And understandably, Shogo developed an insatiable hatred for his mother and all things to do with love from that, because he had a distorted view of what love was from, seeing his mother with various men in and out of the house from day to day. So this has had a very negative impact on Shogo from being a little toddler up into the grown man, into the grown boy that he is. So basically, like I said, the story starts out with him in psychiatric evaluation. That's it. And the process that they go through, they start giving him like shock therapy, and with this, Shogo has an out-of-body experience. Then he's basically summoned before the Greek goddess Athena, the goddess of wisdom, and she basically curses him and says that he has to basically go through the cycle of love, and for eternity, and because he doesn't understand the concept of what love is. He's never felt love, he's never given love, so because of this, Athena curses him to an endless, eternal cycle of love. And she basically says to him, I'll read you the excerpt. Thou shalt love one woman again and again. Before the 2 are united in love, one shall perish. Even in death thou shalt be reborn to undergo yet another trial of love. thou shalt suffer for eternity. So basically, he's going through these endless trials, you know, in the cycle of life and death and love, you know, in order to try and understand love. And once he understands love, you know, then his real suffering will start. So the majority of the series is basically Shogo going through these trials. You know, he ends up in different worlds. You know, he ends up in Nazi Germany, ends up falling for a Jewish girl. You know, and the thing about the stories is, because it's a series of short stories, Tezuka uses the idea of repetition to its greatest effect, because you always know how the story is going to end. You know, either Shogo or his love interest is going to die. He'll be summoned before Athena again, and then undergo another trial of love. You know, in a completely different world. You know, first he's in Nazi Germany, then he ends up on an island full of like coupled animals. Then he ends up in the future, where the human race is basically being all but wiped out, and they're all ruled by these like upper than Homo sapien clones called Synthians, and ends up falling in love with the queen of the Synthians. So with these short stories, the topics and themes that Tezuka brushes upon are dealt with through visual metaphor and analogy. You know, not only does he deal with like love and hatred and you know, child abuse, but themes like environmental pollution, political breakdown, you know, extinction, genocide, all told through you know, the eyes of Shogo, a man who essentially hates love and is forced to learn what love is. And you know, it's brilliantly written. For how short the series is, it felt like it was much longer because it really draws you in, or at least it did with me. What else could you really say about this? I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was really good. Shogo becomes a very sympathetic character towards the end. And the end, it kind of comes around full circle. It's not really a conclusive ending, and that's what I really liked about this. It's like it just kind of ends abruptly. If you catch up my drift, I would definitely recommend this for not only any fan of manga, but if you're a fan of Tezuka work or like classic manga, like, you know, Gekika era manga, then this is definitely something that must be read. I'm starting to collect more Tezuka manga myself, not only because I enjoy his work, but because I just think it has such like historical significance within manga, just generally, and you know, graphic novel culture. It definitely is a staple and like a landmark. You know, sort of. He really is a landmark author, and I absolutely love his work, and I love this series. You know, like Tezuka manages to blend in like real life situations with like mythical and, you know, historical sort of metaphors, and, you know, interpreting you know, day-to-day struggles, you know, like separation and rejection and hatred. He manages to, you know, weave that in with, you know, sci-fi elements, supernatural elements, and it's really interesting. I mean, the story starts off with, and I thought it was really interesting. You basically have this like full page of like all these guys. It's like, guys, all 500 million of us will race to the death to reach for our one and only queen. All but one lucky winner will perish, and the odds are 500 million to 1. Ready, go. So it's basically all these guys racing to the one queen, and you don't really know what's going on at first, but then you realise that it's all a visual metaphor for sperm reaching the egg. And then this one lucky guy ends up, you know, finding the egg, and then you just have all these like dead guys laying around. It's just brilliant. It really is clever how he's, you know, written this, and you know, he often has these like narrative sort of monologues, like explaining, you know, like giving a little bit of exposition, you know, just in what love is, and, you know, how love relates to this story, and, you know, it's just brilliant. I mean, I read that Tezuka based Shogo on the youth in Japan at the time, because this was written in 1970. And from what I've read and looked up on, there was a lot of like student riots and political unrest in Japan at the time. So Shogo basically reflects the misery and depression that the youth at the time in Japan were going through, and Shogo really reflects this well because he's a very 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 tormented guy. But yeah, that's my review of Apollo Song by Osamu Tezuka. Get this, guys, it's just brilliant. I'll probably give this a good solid 9 out of 10. Now, the only reason why I wouldn't give this a 10 out of 10 is because some characters basically reoccur in different stories. Like I said, it's a series of short stories where Shogo's undergoing different trials of love, so it goes from like different periods in history and time. But there are recurring characters that basically appear as like different people, and it's not necessarily too clear. There's not really much resemblance to them from previous stories. So I only really found out that like some of the characters are reoccurring when like I read up on this series on the Wikipedia page. So Tezuka's sort of skill in character differentiation isn't really at its best, because sometimes it's just really not clear which character is the same, and which character's not. But all in all, even disregarding that, it's still very a very pleasurable and enjoyable read. So that's be my review of Apollo Song by Osamu Tezuka.